If you have any interest in the online lolcow personalities, the people that have cultivated large followings not out of any form of admiration, but instead the strange and oftentimes inexplicable antics that their online careers consist of, then you may have, even just in passing, heard the name Timothy Mackenzie, or as he's better known online, TIMBOX. At one point in time, this young man was projected to be the next Christian Weston Chandler, and while he hasn't exactly lived up to those projections, not that they're things you'd want to live up to, he has carved out a very interesting place in internet history for himself. And today, I thought, as a brief aside, we would take a look at the TIMBOX wiki, which is supported on the fandom servers. So today, we're just going to take a brief look at him and his most well-known online antics. Now, keep in mind before we actually start taking a look at this wiki for TIMBOX is that I'm not actively sure if this is continuously updated and if any new information is being added to this, specifically because there isn't any real way that I could possibly know myself. All I know is that the information that is provided here was at one point in time actively correct. So let's just begin. Timothy Robert (Timbox) Mackenzie, born the May of 21st, 1991, is a 33-year-old autistic male from Baltimore, Maryland, known on the internet for his various bizarre ideas for movies that he wants to create. Not much is known about his time growing up. What is known, however, is documented in a post on RetroJunk that since has been deleted, but was mostly preserved through a thread on ToonZone. On RetroJunk, he famously declared that his head was injured as an infant during a horrific accident involving a rock being sent flying by a lawnmower. Air quotes, "My parents knew I have spilled the blood of the innocent. That is my own self, in their clothes." Diagnosed with autism at a young age, it was reported that Tim was nonverbal until the age of 7 years old. He attended Ruth Parker Easton School before being moved to Savannah Park Elementary School. It was said that Timothy was considered an outcast due to his unauthorized filming of students, particularly those of East Asian descent, as well as his inability to comply with teachers when told to put his camera away. It's believed these problems continued into his high school years, where he didn't graduate until he turned 21 after 6 years in high school. Beginning in 2006, Tim began obsessively posting information about his movie plans on websites such as ToonZone and RetroJunk. To universal derision and mockery, he has continued to pursue his dreams of creating a movie combining Dexter's Laboratory, the Powerpuff Girls, and Lord of the Rings. Now, before we continue on to the next article of the video, I think there is a specific detail in the previous article that I just wanted to give some context to. So, when it was defining that he was considered an outcast in high school for filming students without their consent, primarily students of East Asian descent, the reason why that was made a defining aspect of that sentence was purely based on the fact that TIMBOX has what many people colloquially call yellow fever. Yes, he is a fan of the Asian girls. He loves when they're wearing their little sailor uniforms and being kawaii desu, if you know what I'm saying. So much to the point that one of his other defining traits is his love for a character from Dexter's Laboratory, a young Asian Chinese girl, I believe, who he has a very fucking creepy relationship with, in his own mind at least. He has a deep, undying love for this character, so much to the point where if you're not aware of TIMBOX through the topic we're about to now start talking about after this, you're most likely aware of him because of his most popular YouTube video. A YouTube video where he has a picture of this little Dexter's Laboratory Asian character as the desktop background on his computer, and he's acting like a fucking freakazoid about it. And on its own, for a lolcow, that wouldn't necessarily be too out of the ordinary. They act weird, that's their thing. A lot of them are perverted and strange. But It only gets worse when you go to the video's description and you see that he is admitting to have been not only acting weird in the video towards the character, but also emming, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah, he's got a bit of yellow fever going on, although he hates to admit it. Apparently, he's constantly arguing with people online who say that to him. He really doesn't want to admit it to himself or to anyone else, despite the fact that it is blatantly obvious to anyone on the outside looking in who takes even a moment to try and figure out anything about his character. But now we're going to be moving on to the article that, in my opinion at least, defines his existence online. Now, as aforementioned, TIMBOX is someone who considers himself a bit of a media junkie. He is obsessed with Cartoon Network animations, stuff like Dexter's Laboratory and Samurai Jack. He loves these things so much that not only has he dreamed about being on the production teams that are responsible for creating these very shows, but he's also spent an incredible amount of time creating his own fan content surrounding them. Not necessarily fan art or fan animation, but instead conceptualizing movies and ideas for films that he wants created about these characters and about these properties that he doesn't own, but that he's interested in to an obsessive degree. And out of all of these, undoubtedly the most well-known and his magnum opus, or magnum op piss, if you catch my drift, get it? Fuck, I'm funny. Is Dexter's Odyssey. It's a film that he has worked on and has been, well, I'm not sure if he's still doing it now, but based on the amount of time he spent doing it previously, I wouldn't be surprised, is a film that he originally conceptualized in 2006, or at least that is when he first revealed his intentions to make this movie a product or a thing online. This could have potentially been something he'd been thinking about many, many years before 2006, but he only managed to release any information about it online in 2006 on forums and his own blog post, which I will look into at some point in time. So Dexter's Odyssey is one of Timothy's many ideas for a movie, and the one he's spent the most time on, being in the works since 2006. The film has had a long history in development, with it popping up as far back as 2006. The 2006 version is the earliest known version that was posted on what was, for many, the first time they found TIMBOX. The toonzone.net forums at this point had envisioned the movie as a trilogy with a complicated mythology and an inexplicable crossover with the Powerpuff Girls. The 2008 version was told on Blogger in the mid-2008s. By this time, he had expanded the series from 3 movies to 12. Now let's look at the trivia section, because there is a lot of interesting stuff about this film project that he was intending to somehow get made. The film was originally a trilogy before he expanded it to a 12-movie series, then paring it down again to just 1 movie. At one point, he wanted to insert characters from the films The Ant Bully, Surf's Up, and the 2005 King Kong remake into the movie. A very, very strange list of characters from different properties and different films, none of which really have any crossover value, you'd think. I mean, King Kong is not exactly the kind of character you'd expect to see in a Surf's Up film, a film about surfing fucking penguins, right? But maybe I just don't understand the savant nature of TIMBOX's epic filmmaking abilities. One idea was that the film would have a framing device involving film students finding a 12-hour work print of the film, which was, according to Tim, abandoned on September 11th. I have no idea what the fuck that's supposed to mean. I also have no idea how the fuck they'd work that into a film that was expanded from 3 movies to 12 and then brought back down to just a single film. The runtime of this film would be legitimately like 15 days. Timothy has toyed with making the movie either a comic book or a television series instead. Now, again, I don't exactly know if TIMBOX believes there would be investors willing to follow up with this concept, but let's be honest, he was probably so intrigued in getting the idea ready that he didn't think about logistics. And sure, everyone at one point in time starts a creative idea that they just simply forget about or don't properly see out to the fullest extent. Everyone, especially lolcows. Tim once had the idea of making his 2006 version into a game, as a thread on the Criterion boards once showed. Now, I'm assuming the Criterion boards is referring to the development studio Criterion Games, the developers behind the Burnout games and Black, a first-person shooter on the PS2, which was quite a good game. It doesn't actually have an annotation, so I can't see if that's the case or not. But what I am interested in finding is, did this motherfucker enjoy Black? Did this motherfucker enjoy Burnout Revenge on the PlayStation 2 and PlayStation 3? The plot in the 2006 version is considered the more complete version, as the internet has never seen the air quotes full version aside from the 2006 idea. So this motherfucker literally, and right, look, I'm not gonna fully read the 2006 conceptual plot summary because it's literally would take me like 20 minutes just to read it. There is so many details and so much involved in just the 2006 version. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Maybe later down the line, if this video does well, I'll read the entire thing and the 2008 version and Timbox's original vlog on his original website in the future. But if those weren't the only ideas included in the 2006 version, then what the fuck was left out? How much could you potentially have left out of already a 20-minute article or so? That's a lot of shit. Dexter's Odyssey, 2006 version. The 2006 version of Dexter's Odyssey was posted under the name of The Story of Dexter's Odyssey, Tale of TIMBOX Wars, in October of 2006. Since then, it has heavily evolved. The original post is entirely within this article. Now, I'm not actually going to be reading the plot synopsis of the 2006 or 2008 versions in this video because I believe there'll be good future content if this video does well and if you guys want to hear more about it. But all I do want to mention about the 2006 version is that at this point in time, during the production or the conceptualization of this film in Timbox's head, he was projecting that this film was going to cost $865 million to produce, and not only that, he also defined that the stipulation for the film's creation is that every single cartoon, every single project that he wanted to use as a collaborative effort to make this film had to be done in its own style. So you take Samurai Jack, you take Dexter's Laboratory, you take 2005 King Kong remake, and you put them all together, they all have to be animated and created in the same format that they were originally, which not only is incredibly taxing, as many different studios all worked to create these properties, but then you want to chuck them all together in what I can only imagine would be a massive conflicting art style and art design. But yeah, so effectively that's what Dexter's Odyssey is. If you want to hear more about it, I will make another video in the future reading through the concepts and the ideas that he had, not only on his original vlog, but in the post that was pulled from the article that was originally written on one of the forums all those years ago. So thanks for taking a look at this video.